Hey everyone, how's everybody doing this fine evening? Just wanted to come on here. I think I need to have a different line when I start a video. What do you think? um, been thinking about a lot of things, and I was talking to a friend the other day, and she was mentioning about, she's alone and she doesn't have anybody in her life as far as anybody that's, that's able to take care of her. And she was telling me that she was worried about, you know, having to be taken care of. And I said, well, that's why you keep your health up and that's why you take care. I go, there's been people that have been in their 90s that still live in their home and take care of themselves. And it's because they took care of their health. And that's the biggest thing. You can't buy health. You can't buy, you know, you have to take care of yourself. And you need to just take care of yourself many years prior so you don't have health problems. And it's interesting how we seem to change as we get older. Like for me, I haven't really changed. I think I've got to the point where I'm okay still being alone like I did that video back in January. But other people, when they're alone, they start thinking about it too much. And I think that's a big thing as far as you're thinking about stuff too much. And you're thinking about what could happen. And my thing is I live in the now. I don't really, not concerned about what's happened yesterday, not concerned what's going to happen tomorrow. I need to be concerned and deal with the stuff that happens to me today in the now. So that's my whole thing. Is it's like, I mean, what amazes me about people is they think that you need to have somebody to take care of them, and that's the way a lot of families are, is they have kids thinking the kids are going to take care of them as they grow older. And that does happen. But I find it interesting that the parents are so selfish to have kids because of that reason. I think it's very selfish. Because what if kids grow up, get married, and have their own family? They're going to be less likely to stop their life to take care of their parents. Now, whether they're having to move in with them to make it easier that way, that's a great plan if everybody agrees on it. But I know a lot of people like their freedom and they don't want to necessarily move in. I know people that have kept their driver's license far past and they can't even drive safely. And I've had a family member that, you know, turned in her driver's license because she didn't feel that she could drive safely. And it was her choice. And I really commend my aunt for doing that, because she's like, your uncle can drive me around, or the kids can drive me around, which she's very correct. And I even drove her around. So, but there's not a lot of people that will, give up their driver's license. They still think they can do it. And that's part of the whole thing is I'm going to try to keep my health good and keep myself healthy so I can continue on. And as I get older, into my older years, to continue to take care of myself the way I did when I was younger. And I think that's a big deal. I think that's a big thing. And I think it's, people get to thinking and they're like, oh my gosh, I've got to find somebody. I've got to find somebody and be with somebody. And it's like, that's no reason to have a relationship with somebody, because you don't want to be alone as you grow older and you want somebody to take care of. And the roles could be reversed. If that person that you're with gets sick, then you're going to be taking care of them. And that's what I say. So I get it. I get why people, but I think it's too, a lot of people, as you grow older, especially in your 60s to 70s, you start to have this fear of living and fear of this and fear of that. And it's almost like you're reverting back to when you were a child. And I think it's pretty normal for that, but why get scared now? You've lived your life up to this point and been able to take care of yourself, and now all of a sudden you're dreaming up and putting this energy out there that you're not going to be able to take care of yourself as you get older. You know, my whole thing is I just don't, I'm not going to take prescription drugs to solve a problem. I'm going to solve the problem and have my body take care of it naturally. And that's a big thing with people. Some people just don't have it in them to try to fix the problem themselves, and that's why they seek medical attention. And that's okay if that's good for them, but why mask the symptoms? Let's get to the bottom of it and cure what's truly going on with your body. And sometimes that takes not going to the medical field. It's called understanding your body and not understanding it's understanding, not understanding, but in tune with your body is what I want to use. And when you're in tune with your body, you know exactly a lot of the times what's causing certain things. To give you an example, I was lifting because I was too impatient when I'd go to the grocery store or go to another market, and I'd have 5 plastic grocery bags. Well, instead of bringing 2 or 3 in at a time, I would load my wrists up, and I couldn't figure out why my wrists were out of sync when I went to the chiropractor. Well, and the problem is I left my wrists out of sync or out of adjustment. And then when I got them in adjustment, it took, several months of going to the chiropractor, having him put them back in so they would stay in. And, now that that's solved, that was a couple of years ago. I still need to have them adjusted, but it's just like I need to make my wrists stronger and do exercises to fix the problem so they don't go out of adjustment. So the muscles that aren't being used need to be refreshed and good shape, and try to get them to keep my wrists in to where it's not compensating and knocking my wrists out of. So that's just one example for me, and that happened a few years back, and I thought I was going to have to go to an orthopedic surgeon and have surgery and all that other stuff, because that's where my doctor referred me to. And when I called to set up an appointment with the orthopedic, I asked him what's the percentage of surgery, and she said 82% or 85%. And I said, well, I don't need to set up an appointment then. I don't need to go somewhere where they're just going to automatically cut on me to fix a problem. And that's a friend of mine, what led me to a chiropractor, and the chiropractor fixed the problem without surgery. So that's just the way I solve problems, and that's the way I solved an issue but it was just something I was doing repetitively, trying to carry all the bags in I shouldn't. And granted, you shouldn't do that anyway, even if you're in good shape, because it's not really good. Because that's not the way you lift. Everybody always says lift with your knees, don't lift with your back. So, which is very true. So, anyway, let me know in the comments if you had this feeling, if you're getting older and you're alone and you feel like you need to be with somebody. I don't think that's always the case. I think it's just we get older and our bodies change, and we want to know why they're changing, and we don't want to have health problems, but we don't necessarily want to fix our symptoms. We just want to mask them, and some people want to go to the doctor and just get a pill that they can pop every day, mask the situation. So anyway, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.